When I was in college, this place they actually had unleavened bread. But what happened is like they gather around the altar and they would like rip off a piece of the precious sacred body. But what happened is then on the floor all over to be crumbs of the Eucharist. And there was a guy who after Mass, he would go around and he'd pick up the crumbs and eat the Eucharist off the ground. And at one point I was like, why do you do that? And he said, I'll tell you why I do that. When he was in high school, he heard the story about when communism came to power in China. What happened was one of the things they needed to do is they needed to shut down religion. And one of the things they wanted to shut down was the Christian religion, Catholicism. And so they came into this one town and they ransacked the church, destroyed everything. They took the priest and they locked him in the rectory house next door. All he could do was just watch. And at one point, they took the tabernacle and they threw it out the window and it hit the ground in front of him and it just burst open and the hosts were on the ground. And all he could do, because he's under house arrest, all he could do was just stand there and pray and adore Jesus on the ground. Here's a God who's willing to love us enough to be thrown out of a window and lay there on the ground in the dirt. And as night fell, as it got darker, he saw this small shadow. And as it got closer, he recognized the shadow was a 12-year-old girl from his parish. So she waited until it was dark, and she got closer. And when the guards couldn't see her, she snuck up there, and she knelt down. And she was a kid, and she was told not to touch the Eucharist with her hands. And so she just bent her face to the ground. And with her tongue, she picked up one host. Again, as a kid, she was taught you only receive communion one time a day. They saw what she was doing, and immediately they took the butts of their rifles and beat this 12-year-old girl to death. And this guy looked at me and he said, do you want to know why I do that? Because of her, because of him.